Okay, so it's been a minute since I've done any kind of video, but we're going to remedy that today, and I'll probably be shooting a couple, so we'll see how that goes. I am behind because I finished these books a little while ago. We're going to be talking about the Dark Sun Troy Ditting series, the Prism Pentad, and we're going to finish it up with the last two books, book number 4 and book number 5. So, let's go ahead and get started on that, and go ahead and knock it out. So, book number 4 is the Obsidian Oracle. Now, the series is also on Audible. I think I mentioned that before, but I never said who voiced it, and that's going to be Ray Porter, who is an amazing, does amazing audio work, especially with Audible. One of my favorite series he's ever done, that he's ever touched or graced with his chocolate-like voice, is probably going to be the Joe Ledger series. Beautiful, beautiful series, and his voice work is very on the point. He does the changes, he's great with inflections and getting the sarcasm in his tone. Like, he can read it and act it just fine. Some people, you know, they have that kind of issue where they might read it and it's kind of open to their own interpretation of how someone's saying something, but it seems like every single time he takes a shot at something, you know, he's shooting true. So let's go ahead and start with the back matter on Prism Pentad's Obsidian Oracle. So, Book 4. The Dark Lens, an ancient oracle of power hidden by the last Dwarven Knights, is Tithian of Tears' only hope to become a true sorcerer king. But Aegis of Asticles also seeks the lens, so that he may destroy the dragon Boris. If either man is to survive their quest, they must overcome their hatred for one another. If not, both will fall to the fearsome beast-head giants who guard the Obsidian Oracle. So, I will go ahead and say I love this book. I've enjoyed this series grossly. Even though it started off kind of generic, as Troy Ditting continued writing, he really fleshed out. Each book really hits home with a single character. You know, he makes like this one really about Aegis and of course Tithian, but it also brings in a new character that I really enjoyed, and that's going to be this half giant. And okay, again, I'm going to go ahead and say there's some spoilers, so sorry, but you're going to read it. You read it by now. So the half giant's blocking this this path through a canyon, and you know, this is in the beginning, and Aegis trying to get through it to chase down Tithian, because Tithian apparently has led an attack to capture slaves on some settlements lately, which is against Tyr's policies and procedures. You know, they're supposed to be the free city, no slaves there. And of course, if you know Dark Sun, you know that it's very old world. And here's something that I have an issue with all this crap going on nowadays. People think that just because something talks about it, if it hurts their feelings, they shouldn't talk about it. But then how does anything get resolved? That's just my thought. You know, if you can ever talk about something that's a hard subject, then you're never going to really, you know, fix anything. So that's one thing I will say about the series, Dark Sun in general, and a lot of the older books in D&D. They do have some pretty, you know, tough topics for some people. I know there's some stuff when I read it, I'm like, ooh, you know, that's cringe. But at the same time, I enjoy it, especially when I'm reading a book. Because with a book, you know what you do? If you're having an issue, you close it and you put it down and you say, I'll stop reading that. You know, no one can force you to read it, and then by the end you're like, I can't believe I read that. Let me knock it on tantrum. So this giant is blocking, half giant's blocking the path. Aegis trying to fall through to chase down Tithian. Well, it turns out Tithian misled this giant, right? With friendship. This is a very ugly giant and everything, and you know, never been loved before in its life, but it's very powerful in the way. So it's a psychic giant. I love that concept because it's not very bright, but it's brighter than most giants. And so, you know, Aegis pretty much winds up pairing up with this giant because he shows that Tithian is a liar. He lets him go into his brain and see all the wrongdoing that Tithian has done and that he only serves himself. But we find out something really interesting that I like about the character of Tithian. I was hoping now that he would do more with this little bit of information. Again, spoilers, but Tithian's only weakness is Aegis because he knows he cannot kill him. Just, they've been friends their entire life, and even though Tithian has had an issue with him and, wishes him dead, he doesn't wish him dead. It's very confusing. It's real conflicting emotions, It's just like if you were to hate somebody, but at the same time, you don't want to wish them any harm. It's kind of what he's dealing with, but he'll kill anybody, right? And we learn a lot about Tithian in this as well, in the shitty stuff that he's done in life. So, this is a very good book because it transverses like the mental state of the characters, and it does it so well. So it makes it feel real. It makes me think that these people could be real people, and that is, probably me as an aspiring writer, and I've been writing for years. That is something that is hard to do. Every now and then, as a writer, you'll get just an inspiration for a great character, and as soon as it hits page, it's beautiful, but it's like 1 in 10 for me, 10 of my characters, one of them might be like that, might be so true that someone could assume it's a real person. Well, they, chase after Tithian, and needless to say, Tithian assumes he's being followed at all times, and he even leaves spies behind him. And, well, he goes on to the Sea of Silt, which, if you know anything about the Dark Sun series, it's an old ocean. Well, most of this land used to be ocean, but this is silt. If you don't know what silt is, you'll drown in it just by going into it, because there is no way, other than closing up every orifice of your body, it's going to suffocate you. It will go up into your eyes, into your mouth. It's that super fine sand that's almost like water. When you touch it, it feels like you're touching water, but it's sand. That's what silt is. And pretty much what they're going into. Well, Tithian talks to one of the sorcerer kings, who has his city up there by the Sea of Silt, and he's able to talk him into it by making himself an envoy of the dragon Boris. And that is one of the toughest, badass dragons in all of D&D. It really is. He's pretty much like, Tiamat and stuff like that. He's pretty much like a god-ish character. Of course, he can literally lay waste to entire cities and not get hurt at all. Only specific things that are just 1 in a million in this world can hurt these sorcerer kings. And, well, actually, I take that back. In book 5, and I'll get to that, it really gets a little confusing with that. But let me get back to this. So, Aegis meets up with this blind, he's kind of funny to me character, and he actually is a mage, and I think he's part of the Alliance, but they don't. I don't remember if they actually hit on that. If they did, they didn't make a big deal about it. But the Veiled Alliance, I don't think they did. But either way, he pairs up with him, and he's able to get him out of the city on a ship. And I love the captain. She is a hard ass, and she's pretty cool. They get on the ship, and by pretty much no choice, because the guards find them on the ship, and they have no choice but to set sail with this captain pissed off at Aegis and the blind and his blind companion, because they pretty much put them in some shit. So he promises to pay her, and to her money is everything. So she's kind of pirate-ish. So they go off on the Sea of Silt, and they chase after Tithian, and they, of course, gonna run into something. Something's gonna happen, and they run into giants out there, and during this time period, the giants are warring between each other, and the cities of and the settlements of man have agreed to set out of it and not take a side, so that way the beast head can settle it with their counterparts. So the beast head, if you don't know, are giant types that actually remove their head with with the power of with the Oracle, pretty much is what they call it. And they, with this Oracle thing, they use it to remove their head with this magic, and they replace it with their animal companions. And to do so, they have to like befriend an animal, a giant animal, of course. And you know, like there's chameleons and all kinds of stuff. I remember one of the chieftains with Beast Head. You know, he's got an owl head, and he's kind of a badass. So they come out and they're clashing and everything, but you know, they notice that this is pretty slick, but that half giant, you know, was placed. I don't really want to give this part away because I thought it was really cool. But let's just say that there's a lot of moving pieces at a certain point, and a lot of betrayal, and you know, we're going to tell you what to do, you're going to listen to us humans kind of stuff, and a lot of trickery. And if I get into it too much, then it'll pretty much be telling the entire book with every detail, and I'm just hitting at the main points here. So they wind up talking, not really siding, but talking with some, and agreeing to assist them, kind of forcefully. You know, they're kind of forced into it. But they go to get the Oracle, which turns out is the Obsidian. I'm shooting a blank here. Give me a second. The Dark Lens. So the Obsidian Oracle is the Dark Lens, and it's pretty huge. I wasn't expecting to be giant, especially if you look at the front of this, but because it's kind of misleading. You know, you read Obsidian Oracle, and even though it's not obsidian in his hand, you know, you see, which you can only assume is Aegis on the cover here, and he's holding the neck piece. Very confusing, but I know I might not be the brightest bulb in the bunch. So Tithian, of course, being a sneak, gets past everybody and gets to it first, and you come across the Guardians, which are dwarves who are twisted by the magic of the Dark Lens, and they're turned into giant skeletal like monstrosities with all warped bones, with the legs all twisted, but they're giants. And so it turns out giants are, and this explains it, giants are descended from dwarves. I love that. Dwarves are small, the giants are fucking huge, but because of the magic of the Oracle, it's twisted them into this. Now, it goes on in the fifth one to explain all of this stuff, and I'll get on that too, but I've got to say that there's going to be some stuff happen near the end, and I didn't know how I felt about it. So certain characters will be and not be. There's a lot of death in this one, especially for characters that you come to like in the book. And you kind of have your head scratching at some points, like, you know, maybe this can turn around for them. And, you know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, I mean, he does a very good job at keeping it very personal. You know, and a lot of this book is a personal relationship between Tithian and Aegis. And it kind of shows the growth of Tithian and his evolution to being just a man wanting to be a sorcerer king to a blood-hungry, you know, diabolical piece of trash. And it's, you know, this really is the origin story of a villain. But as you come to know, it's a lot deeper than that. So Tithian himself apparently, you know, has been killing since he was young, and even killing family, people very close to him. Even if he can't remember it, it's just blocked it out, and it's pretty good. I mean, it, like I said, it hits home in a lot of very dark places, and definitely a good read. Now, if I'm going to score this, I'm actually probably going to change some of my scorings in the way I do it. 10 is going to be like this book is like top notch. Okay, 5 is average, 1 is garbage. 6, just off of what I just said, it's above average, but it's not like I'm gonna pick it up and say, you know, oh, this book every time it's filled with, you know, with bangers and everything. I'm not gonna do that. It's a very good book. It's very well written, but there are better books. For the 4th entry, I think it did pretty well. The 5th one, though, we'll talk about in a little bit, and it hit home. But hey, guys, thank you for sticking around. If you made it this far, subscribe, I guess, if you want to. At least like the video. You know, I took some time out to do this, so why not help me out? I'll probably do some more. If not, you know, c'est la vie. Y'all have a good night, guys. Y'all stay safe.